It's hello, hello. This is a list that I ran at Store Champs and it won a Maribel. I'll just say quickly my opinions on Store Champs this time round. I don't feel particularly excited to do them. Maybe not as passionate as I was the last two times round. The first time round, because it was a new thing, it was awesome. It was really fun to do. I really loved that experience. The second time round, it felt like it fell off a little bit. And with this time round, with it only being top eight, it just feels like you can sort of sneak in through Swiss and then just call it a day there if you don't really want to mat. So yeah, it's sort of I'd love to hear what everyone else's opinion on Store Champs this time round, but for me, it hasn't felt as great a rewarding experience, and I've opted to do less than what I've done before, purely because the way TCGs work is you sort of win an event or do well at an event and sell the promo cards that you get. You take that risk when you attend the event, but even now the Mirabelle and the mats don't really have any value, so you're not going to make a return on anything you do. You just do it because you love it. So I'm going to do the ones that are the closest to me, but not travel as far as I've travelled in previous ones. Nonetheless, like I say, any opinions of Store Champs is welcome because I'm sure Ravensburger would love to listen to all of it and tell you what and take it in and hopefully improve their experiences if there's any issues. But yeah, we just got to a top eight. It was a 30-person event. I believe it was 30, maybe one less, one more. I can't remember. It was a really wide field. There was a lot of red purple there. Red purple still being so dominant in the UK. It just seems we love that deck. But that also didn't stop the green steel and the red purple and the green steel, and it felt even fair as well. That they were sort of battling each other, and that didn't look too underpowered, overpowered. I'll go through the rounds as well. Sort of first round we played Ruby Steel location, and it was awesome. It was a gentleman who's him and his son go around playing the sword champs and do Lorcana, and they've got a Twitter account, and I've got that first game recorded as well, so we'll definitely go through it. Um, and like talk over what happened there. But it was really a really good player and a really interesting deck as well. So that was just interesting to do the first game versus that, and especially when you do things like prepare for stuff like this and you practice so heavily against what you'd expect the top meta to be: Ruby Sapphire, Ruby Amethyst, Green Steel, Green Purple, and then you face something completely different to that round one, and you still want to lock in your win. So you've got to try your hardest. But yeah, we'll go over that game when I get the video footage from the store. Something I'll note is that note in the deck. Sorry, I'm rambling now. Something I'll note in the deck is we have two Rise of Titans, and it did come down to at the end of testing. I think it was like a Thursday or Friday before Saturday. This past Saturday, we kind of just I noticed that locations were kind of busted, and by that I mean Queen's Castle and Library. They're just really good. So I was like, I can't really go into a field where I think a lot of people are going to location spam. And let's be honest, at the store champs, I think location spamming wouldn't be a bad idea. And yeah, lo and behold, the first two rounds we played, the next round we played a Ruby Amethyst, and they had a Jim Hawkins RP list. And then the game in the top cut as well was RP, and they were all just Queen's Castle librarying me sort of very early on. So the Rise of Titans felt very justified and definitely will stay because they give you those chances to win against Ruby Amethyst just a bit more. And that's definitely a matchup I think you have the chance of turning into a 2-0 rather than like trying to work on trying to make a Ruby Sapphire matchup a 2-0 where that's just you want to win the die roll and 2-1 it really, let's be honest. That's how that matchup's going to go for you. But yeah, that felt completely justified, Rise of Titans. And as I say, going back to that first round, it just came in useful because like RLS Legacy, I didn't really want to wheel much in that game, and I don't think I did when we watched the video back because I played against a couple of them because when I go on Connect, which is also just insanely a wider field of loads of different decks, a lot of people end up just playing stuff like that. So I'd actually played against Ruby Steel a couple times, and I noticed that you basically can't wheel them because their deck is just a bunch of locations. So if you wheel them, they just throw a bunch of locations, and you're wheeling to find the answers for locations. You're like, great, I answered them. Now my hand's empty. I'll have to wheel again to refresh it, and they just throw more locations out. So the best thing to do is just try win board and try deal with them with the characters that you have available to you. Just if you ever find that matchup, that's what I always found. It's very hard to wheel a location deck because the locations are fairly cheap. They're 4 to 3 cost, aren't they, really? And they can just spam them out at you. But besides that, yeah, we played against a green purple as well. Awesome player. Don't know if he went on to win it. He was top of the seeding when I left. Just yeah, really good. Really well played. Managed to beat me in the Swiss on that. Just because I'm not going to say a brick or anything like that. He just played really well. He played everything to his outs, and I tried to play to my best outs, but we just didn't get the cards we wanted. Didn't get any hero and port score action going on. Didn't get anything fun like that going on. Just locked me out completely out of the game. Just Lyle on the Hiram when I did get the Hiram set up, and just get the big shift lines going as well. Big bodies on the board do scare blue steel because we use steel removal, so we don't really like it when you get an Ursula or a Clarabelle out. It's kind of not really our vibe. So yeah, definitely really well played, and just that match went the way it went. Yeah. So we lost to that one, and another green steel as well we played, and that's just the same as it's always been. Once you know it's a green steel, you can go Porp, Tipper, Hiram, and then fire the cannons of Diablo at one point if you need to. Once you get a Cogsworth and an aerial down, you're pretty much locked in for a win. They're not going to really deal with that aerial. Then you can use a Chiempo. I think Chiempos maybe I'm overvaluing that a bit much in the green steel because Anna is so good. Just got to do one damage to it and then use the Anna to remove it. So, and I'm sometimes as well fully going in on Chiempo being alive at the end of the turn because I'm going in on the aerial questing for more lore. So I really need to think about that as well whenever I play, which is something I hadn't thought much about. I'd seen Anna, and of course I know Anna is a good card, but I just hadn't thought much about the card. But yeah, going Cogsworth, Chiempo, aerial is a good play. But against green decks, they do have answers for it, and even still, they can Bruno it, they can You're Welcome it. So even if sometimes you want a Pete on top of that, but you might not have a Pete. So yeah, I've just basically got to think in my head, don't bank on Chi and Po as much as I have been. Previously, I've been using the Fortisphere buffs as well, which is really nice. So you could turn sideways with something like a Pete or a Smee or even a Hiram, and you could use the Fortisphere buff on top of that. So as well as the Chi and Po having bodyguard, you've got now a Hiram as well that's got bodyguard. So it's like now you have to deal with two more things, which I think, yeah, that's really cool as well. And maybe I need to think more of when I play the game. But yeah, overall, I felt the list just works completely fine, and the outcome was the outcome that I had from the draws that I got, and just the deck in general. There was a few more riskier mulligans. I was throwing things back like Hiram when I really should have kept them, just because I basically wanted two drops, and it was just like okay, and I was gassing out. So we were just trying to do a little more risky mulligans, and like I say, this time around with Store Champs, I just didn't really have the attitude that I'd had for the past previous ones, which kind of did really reflect my score in the end. But you still Mirabelle's a Mirabelle, I guess. That's what it is. But yeah, overall, I think I'm going to run this list again at the next Store Champs, and the only testing I've done today is we swapped out one of the Let It Goes for a Visions of the Future. That's mainly because I'm just seeing a lot of the top lists in the list that are doing well have a Visions in it, and I like the idea that Visions is like running a pseudo fifth wheel per se, because you get another option to just dig a little deeper into your deck and find answers or find things that you want to find. So yeah, overall, I think I'd run this list completely exactly the same. Maybe that one Visions will stay for the next Store Champs, maybe it won't. But I don't think there's much changes here. I wouldn't, if anyone's done Store Champs as well and brought blue still and got utterly rolled by hyper aggro, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think you kind of just have to hope to dodge them, because I'm finding most rooms have got one or two, and there's just going to be some unlucky people who have to play against them. And even still, our matchup into that isn't that bad, especially in best of three. I don't think it's that bad. So I wouldn't go back into going, oh, I need hooks and stuff like that, because I'm getting aggroed out. You fire the cannons on turn one, should deal with something if they don't daisy. But yeah, I'm rambling on about hyper aggro now. I think, yeah, overall, I'd just completely run this list again, maybe change one, Let It Go into a Visions. And the only actual difference from this list, sorry, to the one that I posted on my video was we did end up taking that Baboom out and putting a third Fire the Cannons in, just because we're at 14 uninkables and we just didn't really need to, uh, we didn't really need the unink space, really. So, yeah, that's my list. Yeah, it worked for me. Hopefully, it can work for some other people.